this agreement is discriminatory in nature. Why it is discriminatory? Told it is going to create nuclear haves and nuclear have-nots. Second, India told this agreement is not achieving the objective of a nuclear free world, but it is creating what? An hierarchical world order. What do you mean by hierarchical world order? Obviously, those who have nuclear weapons, they will be more powerful. Those who don't have nuclear weapons, they will not be powerful. Third, India said, this agreement is also biased in the way it is not going to create a nuclear free world. Why? No, civilian use always can be allowed. So, no, not only that, it is only prohibiting horizontal proliferation, but there is no talk of vertical proliferation. Simple, na? Agreement says that no new country can develop a nuclear weapon, but those who have already nuclear weapons, they can have how much ever they want. So, the agreement does not say that they should not have this many more than these nuclear warheads. So, India said that what? It is only prohibiting horizontal proliferation but not vertical proliferation.
सर इस ट्रीटी के अकॉर्डिंग जो रॉ मटेरियल्स थे सिर्फ उन्हीं फिर स्टेट्स को दिए जाने जिन्होंने डेवलप कर दिया.
See, if you sign the agreement or if you don't sign the agreement, any agreement in international politics, I told you, they are covenant without what? Nothing but words. Yeah, apart from the agreement, those countries which have signed this agreement or those countries which are part of NSG, they cannot supply nuclear weapons for a country which is not signatory of this agreement. But suppose you only have that resource, then nobody can do anything to you.
Sir, for example, I have the resources. According to this treaty, I cannot supply my resources of the nuclear to the
country which is not signed in NPT.
But suppose a country has signed this and has not developed it.
You can, that's what, no. A country which is signed it, how they can develop? They have already made a commitment now, we are not going to develop a nuclear weapon. No, then there will be sanctions, means you have cheated the agreement, you have gone on, then they will impose sanctions on you.
Sir, they are implicitly prohibiting them.
In a simple thing, 5 countries will have nuclear weapons, no country in the world can have nuclear weapons, in a simple sense. So basically now also if India goes signs NPT, India should surrender its nuclear weapons or destroy its nuclear weapons, then it will become compliant with NPT. That is the agreement. So India told, why should we sign this agreement? Why? Because China, who is part of P5, and if you see one coincidence, the P5 countries are only those 5 countries which had developed nuclear weapon even before 1967. So now India told, with China we have territorial disputes, and with China we have already fought a war in 1962. So obviously now if we sign this agreement, it is going to be a compromise on India's national security and territorial integrity. So that is the reason that why India told we are not going to sign NPT, and India's stand has remained the same through successive governments. Now the other thing, CTBT, Comprehensive Test Ban Treaty, which was signed in 1996. So you see, comprehensive, it is nothing but an evolution of the PTBT. So in PTBT they had allowed what? Underground testing of nuclear weapons. Now they are told comprehensive ban, even underground testing is not allowed. And India was one of the 44 countries, we call the countries which negotiated for this agreement. But India, Pakistan, US, so US signed the agreement but they did not ratify it. Means their Senate did not agree to it. Why? Because they told we have to maintain our arms race with Russia, we can't trust Russia. India said, India had a proposal saying that okay, underground testing, why they are banning it now? Because already these countries have done their underground testing, now they have technological capacity to do laboratory controlled testing. So they told you have to ban even the laboratory controlled testing and you have to speak about eliminating the nuclear weapons. That these countries didn't agree. And that is why CTBT even today remains unimplemented. Why it is unimplemented? For CTBT to come into implementation, the original 44 countries which negotiated the agreement, they have to sign and they have to ratify in their parliament, only the agreement will come into equation. So obviously India till today has not signed CTBT. America has signed it but they have not ratified it. Pakistan have told again, unless India will sign it, we will also not sign it. So CTBT remains defunct. And now in 1998, India did its Operation Shakti, and now India openly declared that what? It possesses nuclear weapons, and within 12 days Pakistan also thing. So if you look at here, the thing is that why within 12 days Pakistan? Because it was well known for Indian intelligence agencies that Pakistan also is ready with their program. So that is why you can say within 12 days India went, I think Pakistan also conducted their test, and you can say both India and Pakistan become nuclear weapon state. So after this 1974 test, what India did? So obviously in this test, see, if some country has done peaceful nuclear explosion only, they are telling we are not having weapons, but it's an indication that country has the capacity to develop weapon. It's only a matter of time that they weaponize it in that regard. So obviously this hurt Pakistan very badly, because now India and Pakistan had a lot of bilateral disputes, right? So now Pakistan felt their security will be compromised that if India goes on to weaponize. And that is when you can say China's relationship with Pakistan integrated during this period, because in 1962 or 1960s period, you can say China remained neutral in India-Pakistan issue. But you can say from 1963 onwards, Pakistan tried to become close to China. So like this POK, they gave a part of POK to China, Saksham Valley, what we say, they gifted it to China. And you can say the Pakistan's nuclear program was aided by China. But again you can say Pakistan, when they came to know about India's exploration, they also wanted to develop a nuclear weapon. Question is how? Because you need human resource, you need raw materials, and you need the project to be very secret. So obviously because the American satellites will try to trace it now. And that is when this AQ Khan, the Pakistan nuclear scientist, I think he was in Europe that time, so Pakistan government brought him back to Pakistan saying that he has to head this nuclear program. And you can say there is also a book that is written, I think by one of the Pakistani general, say that hum kya ghas khayenge. The name of the book is Shall We Eat Grass, because the moment when India did its nuclear project, in Pakistani head, he came to know that India has done its nuclear, so he got very angry on the military in that regard, and he said hum kya ghas khayenge. So that is why the military general who has authored the book, that Shall We Eat Grass. So it is about Pakistan's nuclear program. And now you can say Pakistan started to secretly start their project, and obviously raw materials was helped by Libya, Gaddafi. Now what is the link between Gaddafi and Pakistan was that now Libya, if you take, they come in North Africa, and this is a region where this Palestine issue is there. And obviously now in Palestine issue, now Israel has a nuclear weapon. Israel is very military strong now, so you can see even so many years the Gulf countries have tried every trick in the book. They have not been able to overcome Israel, because Israelis are very, very powerful in terms of economics or in terms of technology, and that is what we say. If you look at human civilization, human history, it is always won, battles are always won by those who have brain power. So you can say why Israel, in spite being a Jewish nation surrounded by Islamic countries, it is able to resist. The reason is that if you take who has won the Nobel Prizes in physics maximum, it is the Jews. If you take America's nuclear program, it is a Jew. So that is why you can say it's not so easy to deal with Israel. And Israel, because Israel threat which pervades these, these Gulf countries in that regard, now they wanted any Muslim country to develop a weapon. Now Pakistan's nuclear bomb is called as the Islamic bomb. because Gaddafi had an agreement with Pakistan saying that he is going to help them to get all the raw materials that are required, on the condition that these weapons what will be built will be also, will act as a nuclear umbrella to Libya. So this is when Israel got involved. Now Israel became concerned about Pakistan's nuclear project, and that is why you see there is a Hindi movie called as Operation Majnu or something like that. The whole movie is about this issue, Pakistan's nuclear project, and how Indian intelligence they try to collect. So Israelis at that point of time, you can say Mossad worked with to target Pakistan's nuclear program. And you can say the rumors is that the Israelis wanted to air attack Pakistan, especially where the project was being done. But you can say at the last moment, the Pakistanis were able to reach out to the Americans and avert an Israeli invasion of airstrikes. And Pakistan made a promise saying that okay, we won't go ahead with the project and all. But anyway, you can say both India and Pakistan were going ahead. And finally, in 1998, when because India also knew that Pakistan has also developed the nuclear weapon, so India did it within 12 days. Pakistan also declared it is a nuclear weapon state. This angered the Western world, and that is when you can say Americans imposed sanctions on India. Now you can say this was a tough period for India, and that is when India brought its nuclear doctrine. So what do you mean by a doctrine? Doctrine represents a philosophy. So nuclear philosophy means India wanted to clarify to the world that why we have developed a nuclear weapon. Obviously because now becoming a nuclear weapon state brings a lot of pressure, international pressure, like how Iran is facing, India faced that, sanctions from Japan, from Canada, from US. And you can say that now the other challenge is that neighboring countries, smaller neighboring countries, now they are further perturbed. Why? Because now India has a nuclear weapon. So you have to manage them also. So that is why India brought a doctrine. Now what does the doctrine say? One doctrine say, no first use. What do you mean by no first use? We won't be the first country to use the nuclear weapons. India will only use it as a second strike. What do you mean by a second strike? If we are attacked, then India is going to bring a second strike. Second one, India said, credible minimum deterrence. Means what? We are not going to produce a weapon and going to bring vertical proliferation. We are going to have minimum number of weapons that is enough to deter our opponents. Third, non-use of nuclear weapons against non-nuclear states. Means those countries which don't possess nuclear weapons need not be worried. India will not use its nuclear weapons. So because many of the neighboring Indian countries were non-nuclear weapon states. Fourth one, any use of biological or chemical, weapons on Indians or Indian forces in any part of the world, India will retaliate through a nuclear strike. So any use, because biological weapons and chemical weapons are also called as weapons of mass destruction. Okay, because they can have the same effect of a nuclear weapon. Like in Syria, if you see Bashar al-Assad, he used sarin gas against children in that regard. So you can say Wuhan, Trump kept saying that Wuhan is a virus, it's a weapon of China, because even Trump, even now he says that it is a Chinese virus. So you can use biological weapons, you can use chemical weapons. So India has said, if there is any use of biological weapons or chemical weapons against the Indian forces in any part of the world, India will reserve its rights to strike back with a nuclear weapon. So these are the core aspects of what the Indian nuclear doctrine. So why India brought this doctrine? To give a clarity to the world that India's possession of a nuclear weapon is not with any kind of offensive intentions, it is mainly for defensive purpose. And India through its nuclear doctrine is also trying to communicate to the world that we are a responsible nuclear weapon state. And India has what you can say brought a tight administrative control. For example, if you look at the nuclear administrative control, what is the body that manages the nuclear weapons? You have Nuclear Command Authority. Nuclear Command Authority. It comes under the Prime Minister's office in that regard. And you can see it has two divisions. One you have the administrative division, the other you have the political division. The head of the administrative division is the Nuclear Security Advisor in that regard. The head of the political division is the Prime Minister. The final call will be taken by the PM and the Council whether India should use its nuclear weapons or not. So even if you take the President is the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, but the head of the Nuclear Command Authority is the PM. That is why we say President of India is just a nominal head. He is not the real head. The real head is the PM. So PM is responsible for the final call whether India. So India's administrative control is in civilian hands. It is not under the military control. So India through its nuclear doctrine said that this is our purpose, this is our intention. This is why we have come out with a nuclear weapon, and India also told we will be the first country to give up our nuclear weapons if there is a genuine treaty which speaks about a nuclear free world. But we are not going to sign NPT or what you can say the CTBT. Now the other thing you have to know is that just you have known what is India's nuclear policy. So in exam they are not going to ask questions saying that explain India's nuclear doctrine. Usually if you see in many questions they will just comment, critically analyze or examine. So if you take critically analyze or examine, see the reason why it is very important to understand these things is that I don't know, like one of my friends, two friends are there, two friends are also service. One more guy is there, that Hanmant Raju, he is IRS, Indian Revenue Service, 2016. He failed the prelims 5 times. He cleared prelims only the 6th time. 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th. He wrote 4 attempts. All 4 attempts he got interview. And all 4 attempts he got service. The reason is that every time he wrote mains, 100% used to clear. The logic was very simple. He is not like others, unnecessarily reading from morning till night, etc. He had a very good understanding what the mains will require. His brain worked like that. For example, if you give him any question, he will decipher the question very clearly and he will tell the answer. For example, I told now it is almost like 2017, now it is 2020. 7 years his preparation he has left. He is completely in his job. So now you can see many political science students are coming for crash course. So in crash course we had given one question that I told before also, Quit India movement is un-Gandhian movement. He had called that day, Chumma had called to talk. So I just asked him like, if you are writing the answer today, what will you write? And one student who had prepared full modern history, spectrum, Vipin Chandra, everything, he had come with the answer. Nonsense he had written, Quit India movement started on August 8, 1947, Gandhi told violence, etc. story. I asked this fellow, what will you write? Because anyway you are not touched with subject. He told question is simple now, what is there to write? So first he told I will introduce about what is Gandhian, characteristics of Gandhian movement. He told characteristic of Gandhian movement is very simple. One, Gandhi led always a controlled mass movement. Second characteristic, usually it used to be always non-violent. Third, he will not use a movement where you can say struggle to victory. It is always struggle, truce, struggle, means active stage, passive stage. Now he told I will come to the question. This is an introduction what I will write. Now it is why Quit India movement is un-Gandhian. He told this was not a controlled mass movement, it was a spontaneous movement, 1 point. Second point, there was limited use of violence in this movement. Usually Gandhian movements are non-violent. Third point was that there was no struggle, true struggle, there was no passive phase, active phase, it was only active phase because he gave the call do or die. Fourth one, there was no centralized leadership here. There was it was a leaderless movement in that regard. So in this regard, the Quit India movement, you can say it is an un-Gandhian movement. This you don't need any book to read and write. Why that fellow will every time clear mains and why some people never clear mains? Simple. These people are more interested in learning, books, notes. They don't have thinking ability only. Plain and simple, they can't think. If you give them something and analyze and tell, they'll do complex things. Why that fellow every time he wrote means he used to get intercall, whether he is read, he is not read. Why? Because he is brilliant in his analysis. And that is what UPSC expect in an answer sheet. If you see, that's what I told, if you see their mains column also, what they write here, we are not looking for the range of information a candidate possesses. We are looking at his analytical abilities. Why? Because it indicates three things. One, your problem understanding ability. Means you are a person who will understand the problem correctly. Only when you understand the problem correctly, you can give the right prescription. So that is why questions are always made bit complex. Why complex? It brings down your talent now to understand the question, identify what is the key thing in the question. So that's why he said, like, his own cousin is writing the exam this time. His own cousin is only writing the exam. He is in art test series only, PSR. So I told him, how is your cousin performing? He told he won't pass. You not told him how, he told why? He told that fellow is only reading material after material. He told simple common sense he does not have, because he'll send answers. My cousin, I told him, did you see your cousin's answer? He told, I have seen my cousin's answer. He does not have the understanding of the exam only. His written means once time before his own cousin. His own cousin, that fellow. I have told him many times, go ask your cousin, meet your cousin, sit with him, get your idea. This fellow won't do. He will go, Shubhra Ranjan, I will go. I will go Forum IAS, I will get this material, that material. You have solution next door and you are coming to Delhi and finding an unrelated solution. Plain and simple, that fellow is one cousin, he has cleared the exam 4 times, with 4 times also he has got rank. The only problem with that fellow was that interview he never got high marks. Every time he used to get 138, 130, 135, 138, 4 times also he got that much. That is his problem, because in interview he never improved. He never looked into like what requires an interview. But means that fellow remained always as a surprise. Why? Because he doesn't know anything in detail. You know, extreme knowledge he does not have. And many times he used to tell, that is my blessing in disguise. Why? Because he told, when I don't know so many things, I will sit and I'll think and then I will write my answer. But when you know too many things, you'll just try to put information in your answer, just adding whatever you can think. And that fellow's preparation was also so simple, is that, everybody last minute revising. That fellow easily used to, because I was shocked once, I was sitting like, he's taken newspaper, he's reading slowly, previous day of the mains. You are telling, bhai, what are you doing previous day of the mains? No, I was just reading an article, understanding, how human rights is changing. See, that's why that fellow's analytical ability is very good in that regard. He observes a pattern in whatever he reads. And that's why that fellow is very successful in mains. Prelims always he had a problem studying, because prelims is more information oriented. You need information. You need to know, okay, philosophy of bomb is written by whom? Questions will come like that. Bhagavati Charan Vora. But it's not that everybody will be good in memorizing facts. Or they can say anti-defection law, or what is that? Last time they asked, last prelims. What is that question they asked? This delimitation commission, how many times it has been appointed? He is weak in those kind of areas. He does not remember facts. So that is why he failed prelims 5 times, but he improved on that. But the moment he wrote his first mains, from first main till his last attempt, every time he went to interview, every time he got a rank. Why he got a rank even though interview was less? Because of his written score. His written score was very high. And that's why we say that there is no one way to succeed and all. So that's why I say, this sometimes what is being away from the capital is also better, because here there is so much of FOMO. This one, that one, this thing will do, that thing will do. And obviously if you see the results also they are getting is no result. If you see here also, those people are writing the mains and getting interview are the same people again writing the mains and writing the interview. There is very little number of new candidates who are getting the call. Those who are failing are keep failing only. Why? Because they are not ready to look into their problems. They are only blaming other things. This material is there, that material is there, shunya is there, vision is there. That's why I keep telling in always classes, first you get vision, then read vision, then you will have drishti about the exam, then you can become next IAS. Otherwise you will be shunya only. You won't go anywhere. No, that is the truth. Some people will agree the truth, some people will get offended the moment you say, kya ye sab bol rahe. Prove and show. Okay, sir, I did like this, I cleared the exam. You are wrong. You are also not able to prove, you are also not able to do anything. Its fundamental problem lies with your preparation. That's what I told. Preparation should be not something, blindly studying from morning till day, just going books after books. First understand the exam, how they are asking the question. That's why that fellow, why he is always cool. That fellow is always cool. Always cool. Even before the previous day of the mains, he was playing cricket. Previous day of the exam, he was playing cricket. We were studying in a library. Na? There was in space. They used to play cricket. There, he used to go play cricket. So I used to get tensed. In exam, I used to read my notes and I used to ask him, "Why are you playing cricket?" He told, "What can you do now? Last moment. It is mains. Prelims understandable. Some information you read, it is useful. Mains, what you can do? Previous day of the exam, no matter how much you break your head, maybe some books names you can remember, some scholars names you can remember for optional. There's nothing much you can do. You have to just go write the exam. Why you get tensed? Simple. His logic was correct. Na? In mains, there is nothing much you can do in the previous day of the exam. It's FOMO, fear of, because you see other person studying. Books after books after, you will get tensed in exam. What is this fellow studying so much? That's what, that comes with maturity. That comes with the more number of answers you read, the realization we say. Na? So for example, why it took Buddha such challenge to attain nirvana? Because he reached that stage. His mind was able to achieve that. Why a common man cannot achieve it? It is not so easy now. It is easy to speak about Buddhism, but it is very difficult to become a Buddha. It's easy, you can tell materialism breeds sorrow. Stop using your phone. Stop, give up your family. Give up. It's very easy to say, it is not very difficult to do. Simple, na? It's very difficult to practice. It's easy to say. That is why Buddha is great, because he was able to achieve that. His mind was able to conquer it, and that is why he was able to implement it. That is the thing, is that everybody will know what needs to be done, but only few will do what has to be done. Why? Because distractions are more. Paths are more different. So you get into more what? Tension. Okay, other person is reading this material. Shall I read this material? You don't trust your own knowledge. You don't trust your own common sense. That used to happen. Prelims I used to tell. Prelims, when I was preparing, that's what I told you. Except my first prelims, I never failed in any prelims. But if you look at other people who are preparing prelims, they were in a mad race in that regard. Especially that I told you, my friends used to come from Wajiram and all. Complex, what you can say, complex individuals. Some yellow book, green book, blue book. I didn't know any yellow book, green book. Red book, Vision 365 times. I had never touched Vision only. Some GK Today material used to come. That was only for current affairs update I used to use it. I have cleared prelims 5 times. Purely that it's only the fear in the market, or you can say this, because the problem with this field is that there is no one road to success. There are multiple roads to success. And what happens is that every time when you don't feel right, you will feel that something is missing, and you're just changing your path. So that's why I said, now when you read a question, the NAM question what you wrote, plain and simple, na? If you understand the question correctly, they asked what? Critically examine. What do you think that, what is that? NAM as a policy is has become redundant in Indian foreign policy post-Cold War. So if you break down the question correctly, keyword, NAM as a policy. Okay, first you have to write why India brought NAM as a policy. How it helped NAM India at that time. 2-3 points. Then go into saying that post-Cold War what happened? Disintegration of Soviet Union. Obviously now the world was unipolar world order. So obviously now India did not have a choice, and India also went for what? Liberalization, privatization, globalization. India's relationship also became close with US. Today US is a very close partner to India. So now many people are telling, why do we need NAM? So then you think, but still, however, strategic autonomy continues to be an important aspect of Indian foreign policy. Second one, India can use NAM platform to achieve its what you can say, role of being a leader of the third world countries. Third, India can also use NAM to build South-South cooperation, use it as a bargaining chip with international climate change negotiation. Fourth, India can also effectively use NAM to pitch in for its seat in the permanent seat in UN Security Council. But however, to utilize NAM, India should, what you can say, strengthen its economic capacity. India should strengthen its soft power. India should deepen its relation with the NAM countries at large. Provided this, NAM can be a formidable platform for India. Done. So for this you don't need to read a book or etc. That's why I told, keep it very simple. go for very good conceptual understanding. Newspaper editorial pages, it is a must. No matter who says what, don't read newspaper, just read material, it won't work. Read editorial pages. It will help you to hone up your thinking abilities. It will open up your mind to different dimensions. It will open up your mind to different analysis. And that is what is required in a mains exam. Prelims exam, understandable, you need a material. Why? Because it is information. You cannot gather all the information through newspaper. So you can use a material to know information. Understood? So here also, India's nuclear doctrine. They won't ask question, just tell what is India's nuclear doctrine. They usually will tell a question, examine India's nuclear doctrine. Examine ka matlab, first you will write what is there in the doctrine. Now you are going to examine it. Examine means, is it relevant? Is it not relevant? Because this was brought in 2003. So this year, this is which year? 24. So already 21 years have happened since India bought its nuclear doctrine, and almost it is 25 years that India did its nuclear test. So now the question is that what can be changed or what can continue? So if you look at the positives of nuclear doctrine, one, it was able to now convince the world that we are a responsible nuclear weapon state. Second one, it has legitimized India's possession of a nuclear weapon. Why? Now very own countries like America, Canada, Japan, France, who had put sanctions on India, have removed those sanctions on India and they've offered nuclear deals to India. America has offered nuclear deal, Japan has offered nuclear deal, France is building a nuclear power plant in India, Jaitapur, Maharashtra. Third, it has been able to also manage our neighboring countries who had, initial, concerns about India's position, because our possession of nuclear weapon in last 20 years has not made any other neighboring country except Pakistan go for development of a nuclear weapon. Simple, na? Bangladesh has not developed, Nepal has not developed. The question is secondary, do they have the potential to develop? But still, none of these countries have felt the need to completely join military camp with China. They are maintaining balance between India and China. So this is also success of India's nuclear doctrine. But what can change or what should be changed? Some have raised concerns about NFU, no first use. Now you had our current defense minister, Mr. Rajnath Singh, the former defense minister, Mr. Manohar Parrikar, or you have even strategic experts, Bharat Karnad. They have told NFU is not beneficial to India. Why it is not beneficial to India? If you take India, Pakistan and China, this we call as the three countries, the nuclear triangle. Now India developed its nuclear weapon as to deter whom? Largely it is China, because we don't need nuclear weapon to deter Pakistan. Pakistan is a far inferior force than India. So when it comes to conventional strength, it is China which is far superior to India in terms of military budget or in terms of their size, etc. So obviously India's nuclear weapon should act as what? Deterrence against any aggressive design by China. But the problem is what they are telling is that India itself has unilaterally declared no first use, and China does not mind that. Why? Because China does not want a nuclear war with India. China is capable of tackling India through conventional terms. Obviously now India cannot make any kind of nuclear threats to China. Galwan incident, now you cannot come and tell we'll use nuclear weapon if you try to make any inroads. You won't, you can't, because you have declared it as a policy. And China also has no first use policy. But if you look at Pakistan and India, it is opposite of India and China. India is a far superior force. Pakistan has developed its nuclear weapons as a deterrence against any kind of aggressive Indian designs. So obviously Pakistan does not have no first use policy. Pakistan says that any kind of India's move militarily, conventionally, we are ready to use a nuclear weapon. And obviously any kind of nuclear conflict between India and Pakistan is definitely not in India's interest. Obviously being a bigger economy, etc. So obviously Pakistan has used these nuclear weapons very tactfully, what you can say, to blackmail India. So for example, Mumbai attack happened, Parliament attack happened, there was no kind of Indian response. Why? Because India mobilized the forces along the border, but India did not make any kind of military action. Why? Because of the fear of a Pakistani nuclear retaliation. And India didn't want to escalate into a nuclear conflict. So this has advantaged whom? Pakistan. And using this nuclear blackmail, Pakistan is continuing its proxy war against India using terror actors and their policy of bleed India through 1,000 cuts. And that is when we can say Narendra Modi government took a right decision under Doval doctrine when they made surgical strikes to send a message to Pakistan that the nuclear bogey won't work. And that is what we say. Sometimes media will also go overripe and misleading this statement. Prime Minister in one of these statements he told, we have nuclear weapons not for Deepavali festival. What he meant there was that India won't sit silent. If Pakistan threatens India to nuclear weapon, he told bomb for a bomb will be responded. So that was blown out of proportion by the liberal etc. saying that oh he's warmongering, he's gone mental. Then why do you have a nuclear weapon? Go keep it in puja room, puja every day and Ayuth puja and come back. Obviously the weapon should be used as a deterrence. That is what Kautilya said. Even if this snake is not poisonous, it should appear poisonous, only then there will be a deterrence. So obviously now they are telling that no first use policy is not working for India, it is not safeguarding India's interest. But the problem also lies that it is not as easy they are telling. Okay, it's not that you come and change, rub the document and tell okay no first use is removed. No. Even if you want to make it partially, you have to change your nuclear command authority. And that is a very costly affair, a risky affair. Second one, it brings international pressure. So you have to be ready to resist the international pressure. And that also, what you can say now, escalates the issue. And you can say, now that will become more of warmongering. And that is when now many countries will also rethink about the nuclear deals they have offered to India in that regard, because they have offered those deals on the belief that India's nuclear doctrine, which says India does not use nuclear weapons as an aggressive design. So that is when Rajnath Singh and these people told there was certain criticism saying that any try to shift India's nuclear policy towards first use or removing the first use, or some say don't do anything, maintain ambiguity. What is ambiguity? Don't tell anything, whether it is first use or not. But any kind of shift will have international pressure. Like Shiv Shankar Menon, way back, he had actually given a new interpretation to no first use. He told no first use means will we not be the first to use against non-nuclear weapon states. He kept it open. Means what? It can be used against Pakistan and China. But again, there was a huge pressure from the international, media. Then he gave a clarification saying that no, India continues. So again, you can say because when Rajnath Singh, Manohar Parrikar, again there was pressure on the government, and then you can say again in Parliament, Modi gave clarification that there is no rethink over India's NFU. The second problem in the policy is that the policy is silent with regard to what in cases non-state actors attack India through a nuclear weapon. The policy is only saying you are going to attack back. Okay, if Pakistan attacks, you are going to attack Pakistan. What tomorrow Al-Qaeda makes an attack and you are not able to establish the link between Al-Qaeda and Pakistan. Now Pakistan will tell we have no connections with Al-Qaeda. They might have made a procurement somewhere else, and if they have used it against India, what can we do? So the policy is silent on that. The policy needs to give greater clarity with respect to what is the answer for any kind of non-state actors using nuclear weapons against India. Third, what many have said is that instead of this credible minimum deterrence, change the sentence to minimum credible deterrence. Play of words. Why play of words? When you say it is minimum credible deterrence, you are keeping options open to increase your nuclear warheads. You can tell 10 years back this was the minimum credibility that was required. Now 10 years down the line you can say that minimum credibility has increased. So that is one thing they are doing, more of a
What was this phrase?
see, now we have credible minimum deterrence, means you are going to have minimum. Now they are changing to minimum credible deterrence, means what is the minimum credibility that you need, means you can be kept open, you can go for increasing the number of nuclear weapons. The other thing is also Pakistan has developed something called as tactical nuclear weapons. These are nuclear weapons that can be not used on cities, on smaller army units, etc. Now what is their justification of developing that? after this parliament attack happened in 2001, they claim that India has developed a doctrine called as cold start doctrine. Indian government has never admitted there is any doctrine called as cold start, but that is Pakistan's claim that India has something called as cold start doctrine, under which they have developed military units, quick military units which can make deep inroads into Pakistan, a quick ambush on Pakistan border and come back. They are telling we have developed these nuclear weapons to target those military units. The question remains is that if tomorrow Pakistan uses or deploys tactical nuclear weapons in a conflict between India and Pakistan, so will India, because India does not have developed tactical nuclear weapons, so what is India's response? So are you going to attack a Pakistani city? Now that will be claimed by the world as what you can say, non-proportional retaliation. So that is one thing they are telling, give more clarity with the policy that what will be the answer. Will you develop tactical nuclear weapons? So what is the answer, or make it more precise that if Pakistan uses tactical nuclear weapon, India will reserve its right. That is one more issue which they have claimed. So these are certain changes that has been proposed in the India's nuclear doctrine. And you can say the bigger debate here is about NFU. That we have already done. Within NFU there are proponents of NFU, there are opponents of, FU, first use. There are supporters of first use, there are opposers of first use. But this is overall the analysis of what? India's nuclear doctrine. Okay, so that's why I told, any topic you read, it should be not just information oriented. Means what? It should be not just what is there in there. Nobody is going to ask question what is there in India's national health policy. You have to know that what is there. Not all, major parts, but you also have to be analytical. Now the new Bharatiya Nyaya, Sanhita has been one. You don't need everything in that. You are not some IPS officer to sit and read it. But broadly you have to know how it is similar to IPC, how it is different to IPC, okay, analysis of it, implementing it, what will be the challenges. Now you can say the police forces need to be retrained, they have to be rethought, they have to be given awareness classes in that regard. And that is why if you read editorial pages every day, one or the other author will be pinpointing what are the problems with these laws. Or some say the new provision goes against Article 21. Why? Because under the new provisions, they can extend the detention. So that's why I told, if you read editorial pages, you get that analytical framework. Amen. You don't need to make notes, read every day. Take some copy, then some monthly magazine, then you read, then you will understand it better. But directly without reading any editorial pages, directly you go read about Bharati, it will look loaded with information where you will start to feel that how much I can retain. It will become more information rich material, means you don't know what to read, what to leave. And 100% you are not going to recall 200 pages Vision Ka monthly magazine, and if you take it for 1 year, it is 2400 pages. It is a waste. You have to be smart to know what to extract from that. Okay, they would have done what? They would have given in a crystal clear way. All the information you need, all the things, they would have summarized it and given. So you have to pick from that. What is that thing you want? So basically for that you have to have an analytical mindset. Some where your analysis will go, if you keep reading newspapers or editorial pages, that will improve your analysis. And as you read every subject, you will also become more equipped to understanding that concept. So don't burden yourself in initial period to read too much current affairs. First focus on basics, the core subjects. Current affairs is nothing but a value addition, and that you can, you will be able to summarize over a period of time. So that's what I call nuclear doctrine again. So this will be not given in any one article, one editorial pages will not. This is what I have read different editorial pages and able to pick some points from different and able to summarize and give it to you. So basically next when you are reading also, it should be, it's not that one article in a newspaper editorial, it will cover everything. No, maybe one editorial will have covered one thing in depth. Maybe that depth is not required to you, but maybe if you read, you will get one dimension. Right, you will get different dimensions, right? When you keep reading about different things, maybe let us take this BT, I think no, agriculture you did, right? You read about BT brinjal. So they have not yet given commercial license to BT brinjal. Now, what is the ethical angle in that? Biodiversity? Tell me what is ethical. I don't want environmental. But what is the violation of ethics there? So basically her point, what she is trying to put forward is that nature has a scheme of things. Is it ethically correct to modify what the natural scheme of things are there? Can man become God? That is one ethical issue. Tell me another ethical issue.
Sir, it will also increase the disparity between the large and small farmers.
That is more of a social issue. Tell me an ethical angle. You can't bring everything to ethics. Sir, inequality increase, rich farmers will benefit. The ethical angle there, one more issue is that if you take the approval body which is there, what is the name of that approval body? GEAC. The majority of the members in GEAC are themselves the heads of these biotechnology companies. There is conflict of interest. The same body which is going to approve is the same body or those people who are involved in promoting biotechnology. So that is a conflict of interest. That is why many people have questioned that how can they give an approval. So you are getting mind. So every topic will have an ethical angle to it. Maybe you won't realize it because now he told inequality. Inequality is not an ethical issue. It's a social issue. Ethical issue, you have to be more precise. Okay, is it conflict of interest? Now as she said, can man become God? So that's what I told. When you realize that, when you read editorials, they'll speak about here what is an ethical angle involved. So for example, you can say electoral bond scheme. Don't give me constitutional angle. Give me an ethical point. What is problem with the this electoral bond scheme? Ethically, how it is wrong.
Sir, it will institutionalize the anonymous funding.
So the SBI, which is there, who holds the bonds, holds the details, the same body is also controlled by the government itself. SBI is a government bank. Obviously, there is conflict of interest. The same bank which is maintaining anonymity is the same which is controlled by the central government. Obviously, central government can get information. So that's a violation of what? The code of conduct. So when you look at different issues, there are economic angle, there is a political angle, there is a constitutional angle, there is a social angle, there may be a historical angle to it. So when you read newspapers, now you will observe this, okay, some would have spoken from a historical angle, some would have spoken from an ethical angle. When you are able to bring these dimensions in your answer will stand out. See, for simple, now you give me your answer and you will tell, sir, please evaluate my answer. What do I mean by evaluating your answer? I am going to tell what is good in your answer, where your answer needs improvement. What are the things that you can do to improve? So let us think they ask you a question, critically examine Swachh Bharat as a initiative. Simple I am taking question, I will not come like that, I am telling just as an example. So obviously first of all to critically examine Swachh Bharat, you have to tell at least what is Swachh Bharat, why was it launched, what was its objectives. Then you are going to say, okay, there are certain achievements what Swachh Bharat has done. Toilets have been built. Now people at least in their minds they know about hygiene. Swachh Bharat has also enabled in many villages in that regard, they have become open defecation free. Swachh Bharat has also protected the dignity of women in rural areas. But however, Swachh Bharat also has certain issues with it. One, you can cover center state issues. Many states have complained that funds that has been given is inadequate. Second, Swachh Bharat, the government policy initially only focused on toilet building, they didn't focus on behavioral change. Or third part of Swachh Bharat can be also that there has been what you can say, more emphasis on what you can say, the projects being built, but there is no follow up. For example, toilets have been built, no water facilities. Third one you can say, now you can suggest what can be done to make it more effective. So one you can say behavioral change has to be brought, government is already doing it. Akshay Kumar, Vidya Balan were roped in as brand ambassadors because they can persuade people. Or second one you can say now they have made it mandatory that the toilet should have water connection in that regard. So you can bring interlinking of two schemes, Swachh Bharat and these water piped programs which are there. Or third one, you can say democratic decentralization, means the solution to behavioral changes should come from gram panchayats. 3-4 points, right? Then you write to conclude your answer on a positive note, saying that hygiene is a very essential aspect of human dignity. It is a very essential for economic growth. It is also a very important aspect for India's image in a world as what a Vishwaguru. You cannot have a Vishwaguru who is unhygienic. Be more creative in your answers when you write your conclusion. So that's why I told, for this and all, the moment you start by hearting your that spontaneity, that organic thing won't come. Or when you look at some answers, you will get an idea. Okay, fine, these people are writing like this. You know, it's like spark, dimag ki batti jalao. So when you see something, your dimag will work. Okay, fine, okay, even I can write like this, even I can think like that. But if you are like a horse which has been, blindfolded, just running straight one way, obviously from where creativity will come in answer, or how will it create. So that's why I told, when you read editorial pages, they'll capture different aspects. Okay, ethical aspect, political aspect, economic aspect, social aspect, cultural aspects are there. Global aspects are there. Many global issues can be also interconnected. But it's not that all aspects will come in all questions. That depends upon the question that you are answering. So here these were the dimensions that we could bring, that India's nuclear power. So when you analyze the nuclear doctrine, you didn't just tell what is there in the doctrine, you also spoke about, okay, what is good thing about our doctrine, what are the faults or loopholes in our doctrine, and you also said what can be done. So this is an usual overall approach, that how you have to go about. So anything you read, you have to have an analytical angle about it. Getting point? Don't have just a linear information oriented. Information is just given to you to know things, but you have to make use of that information to bring analysis. So for example, let us say I'll give you an information. I'll just give you an information. In 1861, 3 Indians were appointed for the first time in legislative council. Maharaja of Patiala, Raja of Benares, and Sir Dinakara. That is the information. Tell me an analysis, whatever you can tell about it.
Sir, those individuals were helpful towards the British Empire in India to expand their territories.
Very good. So one you can say Maharaja, Raja, Sir, all are elitist, all are close to Britain.
It shows the religious disparities.
Which disparity?
Religious.
Why you will give religious?
Sorry, regional disparity.
Mm-hmm.
Regional is also kind of hollow candidate.
Basically, it is a hollow thing they offered. They wanted to just show Indians that we are going to appoint you in the cabinet, but in reality, these Indians did not represent India's interest. They were more westernized by nature, or they were more puppets of the British. This is the difference between information what you have, the analysis what you bring. So anything what you read as an information, you need to learn to analyze. Okay, that is the key thing to mains. Mains is not about knowing more information. That is not. They won't go for that. And that's why I don't know this fellow why he used to do very well in the exam. Even the minimal information he used it very well. Why some other person is not able to do so well? He is going for more addition of. See, I am not telling information is not required. Information is required in certain. If you don't know what is women reservation means, then how will you analyze? Basic information is needed, but the analysis you can't by heart. You have to train your mind to bring those things, and that is where the success lies. And why for me, if you take coaching factories, they have become factories. Plain and simple, because it's like just you come to a class, information is poured into you, you go with that information back, again additional information. Obviously, it becomes a factory. Every product looks the same. There is no individuality, there is no creativity, there is no thinking abilities. And that is why you have lakhs of students who write the exam. End of the day, there is only few thousands. But you can say again in those few thousands, the same repeated thousands who are again and again clearing. And that's why we say UPSC is not so competitive as it is projected. 10 lakh people might write the exam, but if you can say who will study effectively in that regard, it is hardly 50 to 60,000 throughout India. And in that 50 to 60,000, you just have to qualify within 12 to 14,000 to rate means what is the ratio? Ratio is just 1:, you have almost 25% chance to get into the list. And again, if you take mains, it is even more better chance. Why? Among those 14,000 who write mains, half of them will be unprepared for mains. It is only half will be exactly prepared for mains. So the competition is just between 6,000. In that 6,000 you have to come into 2,000 for intro call. So obviously the success ratio is almost 33% chances that you can get succeed. In that now you have 50% chance to come in, because out of 2,000, 1,000 will get a rank. That is the way you have to look at it. But if you look at it, there are 10 lakh people, isme kaise ho jayega, it's very tough, very difficult. Don't think that everybody who is studying is a competitor, because they won't be studying the right way. They are not your competitors. Competitors are one who is actually clearing the exam regularly, who have the idea of the exam. Others, they will come and they will go. You know, somebody should also feed us, na? So if only the smart ones are there, then how your academies will run? So that is the thing. That is a harsh reality, but you might agree with it or might disagree with it. So any doubt in India's nuclear doctrine? Okay. Now this is one part of nuclear policy. Now the question came here is that why did the Americans, who were the first to impose sanctions on India, why in 2005 they came and now they told we are offering India this deal? You know, they offered a deal. What is the deal? They told we are going to remove sanctions on India. The sanctions, what it was, removing sanction means now American companies which are there, they can supply nuclear equipments for civilian purpose. Question remains, why? Why? Why did they do it? 8 years back they only came and put sanctions. Now suddenly in 2005, all of a sudden that Bush and Manmohan Singh agreement which was signed, and it was a historic deal. Why it is called as historic deal? Throughout American history, America has never offered a deal, a nuclear deal to a country which is neither a signatory of NPT or a member of NSG. India is neither a member of NSG, India is not a signed NPT, but still they gave that exemption to India. And the other important fact, you can see it is also the beginning of Americans dehyphenating India, Pakistan. No longer now they saw India and Pakistan in the same lens. Now they started seeing India as more as an important strategic partner, and that you can say they did not offer the deal to Pakistan. They didn't give the deal to Pakistan. They told this is only an India specific deal. It's only for India, not for any other country. Question remains why? So one major reason is the rise of China. So there is a famous saying that in I think the rumor or it might be real also, nobody knows, that Bush in 2005 in his office, when he turned the world globe and he pointed fingers at India and he told this will be the country which will stop the rise of China. The reason is that now they identify, because the Americans, you can also see by late 2000 their economy saw decline. They are no longer that economic powerhouse of the world, and Americans are also street smart. So they don't want to tackle China through a direct conflict, etc. They need partners who can bear the what you can say, not the loss, who can bear the responsibilities in that regard. So now they found who will be the most suitable candidate to it. Bush pointed out India. Why? Because India fits into their bill. America is the world's oldest democracy, India is the world's largest democracy. There is a democracy connection. America believes in a liberal world order, and if somebody asks India whether you want a world led by China, or given a choice, or India's choice will be a multipolar world order, but I am telling, if India is given two choices, do you want a world order led by China or do you want a world order led by America? In spite of all the America's defects in that regard, American world order is any day better than a Chinese led world order. It will be a liberal world order. And third, you can also say that the Indian diaspora matured in its own way in America. Why? Because you can say Britain drained India's wealth, the Americans drained India's brain. Means the most brightest students in India, they all went and settled in America. NASA, or if you take now Sundaram Pichai, etc. And obviously now here we have white collared workers, means they are highly influential, they are in very high positions. And obviously now this diaspora, because now you can say from Vajpayee onwards, you can say India's diaspora engagement started increasing, and it continued under Manmohan Singh. And you can say now India's diaspora became India's, what you told now, like we have shortage of bureaucrats, but this diaspora will work. Now they started exerting pressure on the American government that to boost Indo-American relationship, you have to offer India some special deal. And obviously for India to forget the American, the bad blood that exists between India and America, India won't become friend of America, no. If America comes and tell, forget the past, come we'll go together, they won't. They have to convince something to India that we truly mean that we are interested to for, that is why they offered this deal. But Americans won't offer any deal without their economic benefits. There is an economic beneficial component to America. Why? By 2000, the American nuclear industry came under crisis. There is no new orders, etc. India is one of the country which its population is very high, whose energy requirement is going to grow, and India will shift towards nuclear energy, and that will be business for America. The problem is that the sanctions were there, they removed the sanction and they told, but they put conditions that whatever technology will give you, whatever equipments will provide you, that should not be misused for military purpose, it will be only for civilian purpose. India on its part said, we are also going to sign an agreement saying that we will allow IAEA. India did it in 2018 or 2017, they signed an additional protocol saying that IAEA can inspect India's civil nuclear power plants, that to make sure that we have not diverted any resources what we have got for our military purpose. And this was what we say the beginning of the strategic partnership between India and America, and you can say that that strategic partnership since 2005 has only seen the upper side. Means what? From successive governments the relationship has become stronger. So for example, Manmohan Singh's 10-year term, you can say Indo-America economic relations drastically improved. India-America went on to become strong nuclear partners. Then again you can say with Narendra Modi's regime in that regard, he further deepened the relationship on new fronts, critical technologies, emerging technologies, defense, LEMOA, logistic exchange of memorandum agreement. That will deal later when we do India and US. So why they offered this nuclear deal, you can say this is the background. And that is why we say this nuclear deal that was signed, that is the foundation of the new beginning in Indo-America relationship. And that is why many people now they said, finally, the world's oldest democracy has embraced the world's largest democracy. So that is why this deal was signed and why this deal is crucial. And why this deal is also important, told they did not give the same deal to Pakistan. Before what used to happen, every American decisions on India was calculated on Pakistan sentiments. America did not become too close to India because they told Pakistan will get hurt. But now what you can say, America decided our priorities have changed. Their priorities changed from Afghanistan, now China. And they told because their priority is China, India becomes important. And that is why the famous thing is there. America does not have permanent friends, America does not have permanent foes. America has only permanent national interest. And Jai Shankar in his book Bharat Matters, he points out that, he says that don't go, don't be so naive saying that today America is our natural partner, because the same America can change. And same China, means he says it will be too naive to think America and China relationship is a zero-sum game. What do you mean by zero-sum game? Somebody's gain will be somebody's loss. He says it won't be like that. If China wants, they will try to improve their relations with America. They have done that before also. If they do the same thing, the bigger loser will be India, because then America priorities will shift. No longer will India will be their priority. So that is what Jai Shankar says, that you have to learn the art of balancing. You can't put all your eggs in one basket. And that is also sometimes we see the advantage of putting right people in right places. Jai Shankar being the external affairs minister. So that is why you can say that nuclear deal is even today we say the foundations of India-US thing. Now that we need to connect with this liability issue. The deal was signed, everything was going good, but one problem cropped up, liability. Liability means if there is any kind of accident that happens with the nuclear equipment that has been supplied by an American company to India, the Americans are of the view is that across the world the practice is that the operator will have to bear the cost. Means who is operating the nuclear plant, that will be Indian government or any. India says that no supplier will have to bear the cost. What if you have supplied a faulty equipment? And obviously this went a logjam between India and America. Both were ready to, because the American companies were not ready to agree to it. They pressurized the American government not to go ahead with the deal. Finally they came to a solution saying that it will be like an insurance pool. There will be an insurance company, some part will be pooled by the supplier, some part will be pooled by the operator, and any kind of accident the insurance company will give it cover to it. And that was resolved between India and US, and the agreement was finalized. And now America also had promised India that the beginning of this nuclear deal is that they are going to make India enter the, I don't know, that MTCR, Wesenar, Australian group and NSG. These are all the export control regime, and America is there in all four, and they told will help India to get into it, and they did it. For example, you can say MTCR, Missile Technology Control Regime. India became a member I think in 2016 or something. Now these are all informal. Why I am telling informal? There is no agreement that has been signed. These are all groups work informally, and all these groups works on consensus. What do you mean by consensus? To become a member to this group, the existing members should agree. So since America was here in these groups, they were able to convince the other members saying that India should be allowed to enter this group. So now you can ask, sir, what is the use of becoming a member to MTCR? What will we gain? MTCR says that any ballistic missile which has a weight of 500 kgs or 5000 kgs or 500 kgs, range of 300 kilometers and above, such missile cannot be transferred to any country which is not part of MTCR. It prohibits. Obviously now problem for India was that if you take BrahMos, a joint missile developed by India and Russia, what was the range of BrahMos initially? It was 299. To be more precise, it was 299. When even I was preparing my days, BrahMos used to buy at now, BrahMos is 299 kilometers. So I used to always wonder why it is 299 kilometers, why that, like they have not made it 300. The reason was that India was not part of MTCR, Russia was part of MTCR, and Russia cannot transfer the technology to India, and that is why they had kept it 299. But today now you can say BrahMos range has increased, it is 450 to something. So India will now get more access to these ballistic missiles, etc. Second one, you have this Wesenar group. This also India became a member. Wesenar group largely deals with dual use technologies, export of these dual use technologies. So now the members of these countries, they will maintain a list that they will keep a strict control over where these technologies are going. So it becomes much easier for India to now to procure these dual use technologies since India has become the part of Wesenar group. And you have Australian group, it largely deals with biological and chemical weapons. Now the last group is there, NSG, Nuclear Suppliers Group. So I told 48 members are part of it. Now India applied for membership here also, and America backed India. The problem here is China, because China is there in NSG, because China is also one of the responsible nuclear weapon state. Now China told we can't accept India's membership, because I don't know, all these groups will work on consensus, even if one country rejects membership. So China now rallied, means China took support of other 2-3 countries within the group, and they told we can't allow India to become a member. Or they told if India wants to become a member, follow the rules. What is the rule? Sign NPT, you will get membership. But India does not sign NPT, because you signing NPT means you have to give up your nuclear weapons, which is a compromise on Indian security. So India's demand in NSG was that make an exemption for India. And India's demand was that this is not something new we are asking. When France had become a member of NSG, they had not yet signed NPT. They became member, then they signed it. So exemption has been given to France. But China is not doing, that is different, this is different. If you want, you sign. Otherwise they put a new proposal, because there is a lot of pressure exerted by the Western countries to make China to accept India's membership. So China came out to counter that, they came out with a new thing. Okay, we will agree to India's membership if you give Pakistan also membership. In a way it was a stalemate, because Western countries won't agree for Pakistan's entry into NSG, because Pakistan has not a good track record of non-proliferation. For example, North Korea nuclear weapons, Pakistan only has helped them. So countries won't agree to it, and Pakistan has not been seen as a responsible nuclear weapon state. So obviously it checkmated India's move, and China told there is no rethink over the decision, and India's entry into NSG failed. The question debate there was that, okay, why did India apply for NSG when already Japan has given exemption, America has given exemption, Russia has given exemption? What is the need for us to become NSG? Because we can get access to material, But there the government felt, what is that? All these exemptions are given unilaterally. Suppose there is a new government in this country which opposes the exemption that has been given to India, they can rechange it anytime. And this will make it difficult for India's development of its nuclear, what you can say, technology or its nuclear projects which are there. And India felt that by entering NSG in that regard, automatically will become eligible for what thing, and any move tomorrow in NSG, tomorrow NSG can bring a decision saying that we will not allow the exemptions given to India, we can stall it. Because NSG works on what? Consensus. There are other benefits also by becoming member. There is this small country in Africa called as Rwanda, and Rwanda is rich in uranium. Rwanda wants to export uranium to India, but problem they are not able to do it. The reason being there is an agreement in Africa, Pelindiba Treaty. Means African countries have signed an agreement, nobody will develop nuclear weapon and nobody will supply nuclear raw materials to a country which is not signed NPT. Obviously they can't supply to India because Pelindiba agreement is prohibiting them, but if India becomes member of NSG, obviously now they will be able to supply. So India felt tangible benefits are there. But the problem was that China became a hurdle. Now what was the solution? What some said is that there can be one way that can be done, that China is not part of MTCR, India is now part of MTCR, China wants to apply membership of MTCR, quid pro quo. You give us, but the problem there is China is not so much interested in joining MTCR as India wants to join NSG and they won't agree to it. The other reason why China feels that they don't want to bring India into NSG is that it makes easier for India to now to develop its nuclear programs, projects, etc. That will help India to bring parity with China. And second one, India is also now claiming permanent membership in Security Council, and one of the things that goes against India's permanent membership is that India is not signed NPT or is not part of NSG, but now entering NSG will naturally increase India's legitimacy. So that is why they feel that they have to block India's entry into NSG. And again you can say that is also China's way of saying things of India's unsettled border issues. Tomorrow when things go forwards, they can tell, if you desperately want NSG, accept Aksai Chin. Usually foreign policies are real politic in the sense it's give and take. And that is why when you say why some critiqued Nehru and his idealism in that regard, because many wrong decisions were taken at that point of time. For example, agreeing for Tibet's policy. So there were some compromises done on it. Means India did not work practically at that point of time because they were, Nehru was a bit romantic in that sense. He felt that India, China can be these brothers, that Asian solidarity will work. But he never realized that end of the day China is China, and that is what Patel had warned Nehru, saying that China end of the day is a land grabbing state. Throughout their history they have this thing of, if you see China since its independence, they have not lost an inch of land to any other country, they have just grabbed land. That you will read when you read India China, salami slicing, cabbage strategy in oceans, how they occupy highlands, uninhabited highlands. So obviously Nehru had told long back that China's mentality, it works that middle kingdom is there in the means they have to arise to war. And Napoleon Bonaparte, long back he told, China is a sleeping giant, once she wakes up from her slumber she will shake the world. And today you see China has risen, and that's why Jaishankar in his book, this Why Bharat Matters, he says that coming 2 decades will be a tough relation with China. From 1980s till 2000, relationship was modus vivendi. Means what? Issues are there, they were able to stabilize and manage the issues, but now that has changed. China will no longer be silent. China has risen, it has woken up from it, it has achieved all its internal objectives. The only thing China is aiming for, a global projection of its power, and the global projection of power, the first will be felt in India. And that is why you can say, he says that the next 2 decades will be difficult in India, China, but he says we have to manage. We can't go aggressive hellbent, we have to manage, we have to learn the art of managing the Chinese. And that is why he says that for that he has recommended, like India should improve its border infrastructure, India should go for alliances with the West in the Quad, etc. So that's why I told, like some readings of the books will help in getting a broader picture, if not exactly. But that will also be repeated in these newspapers if you regularly read newspapers. So that is what we can say coming to NSG issue, that why China blocked India's membership, you can see all these dimensions are there. So as of now, India is not a member of NSG. So this you will have to know regarding India's nuclear policy. There is only one more thing called as FMCT, Fissile Material Cut Off Treaty, saying that is an agreement where countries had to sign, saying that all these countries are going to phase out the fissile material what they have. But the agreement did not come into implementation, broadly to 2-3 reasons. One, America and India have differences here. America's opinion is that now if you are going to cut off the treaty will come into implementation from the day the agreements are signed. You are getting a point. So if today we sign the treaty, from tomorrow you cannot store any extra fissile material. Pakistan says is that they are not ready to agree to this. They are telling that if you want to sign an agreement, remove all the fissile material from before, because they feel that India has already more fissile material than them, and they are delaying that to increase their fissile material to bring in term, because once the agreement will come into it, you can't store any more fissile material. America's point here is that who is going to check it? You have to be checked, you can't just make a commitment. So India says it has to be done by IAEA, but the Americans feel that it should be done by individual countries, watchdogs. So India says that can't work, because how do you trust individual countries watchdogs that they give the right report? So because of these differences between India, Pakistan and America, FMCT has been not yet implemented. So this holistically summarizes India's nuclear policy for both prelims as well as means. So if you look at prelims, questions are more information oriented. For example, I will show you. So read the first question and tell me what is the answer. Those who know the answer can raise your hand, but try to solve it individually, because in prelims you are solving individually, right, not as a group. So this is a 2018 UPSC prelims question. Those who know, raise your hand. Okay, how many of you agree with his answer? Answer is A. How many of you disagree with him? His answer is wrong. I am not telling it is right or wrong. It might be right, it might be wrong. You have your independent thinking. You can't be influenced by his answer. You should feel okay, A is the answer, or you should feel okay, A is not the answer. So obviously A is the answer. So why I am telling you have to solve questions is that now you read, just now half an hour you read. Reading is different, solving is completely different. Why you need to practice solving questions? See, one problem I will tell in prelims, many people won't solve questions on a daily basis. They won't open their books at all. They just keep reading. You might read 100 things, but on that given day, on that given question, if you are not able to identify the right answer, it's a skill. Why? Because solving questions involves not only knowledge, it is skill. For example, let us take second statement. Logically, the second statement is incorrect. No country in right senses will allow its military installation to be checked. A country will have privilege to buy uranium from NSG. Just now we have studied that India, then why will India try to become a member of NSG? And it becomes automatically member of NSG. Otherwise India would have become if they are only in Indian context, India ratified the agreement. So if that was the case, now India should have become a member of NSG. India is not a member of NSG correctly. So even if you didn't know the answer, eliminating all the options, your answer is A. So that's why I told, solving question has its own benefits. And that's why I said, if you are a person who is exam oriented, you will make it a habit of solving previous year prelims questions, previous year mains questions on a day-to-day basis on whatever topic you have read. Let us say you have read about agriculture, some topic, you have revised it, take previous year question, solve all the questions on that topic prelims. That's it, nothing else is required. If you keep solving on a regular basis, you will start getting this UPSC mentality, like how they'll frame questions, how their sentences are formed. Next question, read, and those who know the answer can raise your hand. Okay, she is saying, see, how many will agree with her? How many say, okay, her answer is wrong? Okay, you tell why do you think the answer is wrong?
Sir, the option B, 2, number 2 is automatically becomes a member of the NPT. ये हो नहीं सकता सर. ये गलत है.
Correct, no? Because you becoming member of NSG, you don't sign NPT.
Yes, sir.
I just told no, India is asking for becoming NSG without signing NPT. So if it is like this, if all apples are oranges, it does not mean all oranges are apples. So the second statement is incorrect. So only the first statement is correct. So answer is A, 1 only. You get the point now? What kind of, these are all simple questions only, they will try to trick you in the exam. So the other advantage why you have to solve questions is that reading is different, you might know things but still that things will go wrong in exam. Why? Because you have to have the experience of solving questions. When you solve question, your brain would have worked that way. Now once, let us say she made a mistake here. Next time when she reads a question, 100% she will give more focus on that. So that is what we did now. How to clear exam, make all the possible mistakes in practice. Then there will be no mistakes to do. But what many people will do, they will make prelims only their practice exam. They won't write class test, they won't attend class test, they won't solve previous year question, straight away go in the examination, sit, thinking that, like there was one student last year, like, see, you can't blame, he's innocent, he's naive, he comes with lot of aspirations, he's excited, it's first prelims. I warned him repeatedly, solve previous year question, don't hurry. But again you can say they'll come into their own conclusion. What is own conclusion? He's watched some online video. There that fellow taught a trick. See, that fellow would have taught a trick not with the intention of misleading. He would have taught a trick from his perspective. The trick will be what? Go for extreme statements, eliminate those extreme statements will be wrong. That you can't take blanket thing. Now what this fellow did, I repeatedly told him, don't do that. You go to the exam, you think, read the statement, then no sir, it is like that. I've checked all history question. History question they'll give options. 4 names which they give, 1 name which we don't know only, that will be only be the answer, or 1 name which we'll know, that will be the answer. These are all crude logic. It is not well practiced logic. So obviously what he did, he went and marked this way, all negative questions went. Easy paper, this year paper was relatively easy, you can see cutoff is also very high this time. Didn't qualify. It's not that he has not read well, he has read very, very well. The problem happened where on the exam day, because he had not practiced sufficiently previous year questions. And practicing previous year question is not just looking at the answer. You also have to look into, okay, why this statement is incorrect, okay, why this statement is wrong, or maybe there is some unrelated statement they have given, but that unrelated statement can be a question next year. You have to know about it, okay, what is this statement, what is this concept. You are solving questions, now you will come to know. Some question they would have asked about, okay, they would have given an explanation, what type of economic curve is this, K curve, V curve, something like that. Answer you will come to know, okay, it is K curve, but you also have to read about what is a V curve then, maybe it will help you somewhere else. So that's what we say, prepare through PYQs, that will help you a lot. That what again problem is that many people won't do it systematically, and doing it is not just one day, because now I told 2 days you practice, again 4th day you go back to your old methods. It should be a habit, you should make it a habit. For example, if somebody asks you, did you eat breakfast? You will say yes. Maybe one or the other day you would have missed, but on day to day basis you will eat. Why? Because it has become a habit. Habits makes you perfect. You have to become habitual. If you keep solving, you won't feel it as a burden. But when it's not a habit, you will feel it as a burden. 100% you will feel like it happens. See, for example, initially this PSR we are doing one day-to-day thing called as Margadarshan. 2 questions will be discussed. Initial 5 days it was very difficult in hectic schedule going and discussing those questions. But 1 week that that became uncomfortable. But the next week it became a habit. No matter how much difficult is it, I can fit in that 10 minutes time. Even if I am tired, okay, I'll discuss. Same way, if you have made your mind that 10 questions I will solve on prelims, no matter how hectic is my schedule, I will make room for it. You will do it. But the problem that will become a habit if you repeatedly do it over a period of time. But if you are very inconsistent, like now this class happened, okay, sir scolded, I'll do for 5 days. Then after 6 days, 7 days, 8 days, 9 days, you will on your own course. Then again maybe some faculty comes, now he will stress on that and tell no, you have to do PYQs. Then again you will come back doing PYQs. That won't work. Irrespective of who tells or who don't tell, you have to be fixed to it. And that's why I told the questions what you solve will give you a lot of insights into it. Now see, these questions you can't answer, but if you look at one common thing, this is 2018 paper na, mentioned in news very recently, sometimes mentioned in news, sometimes mentioned in news, sometimes seen in news. So what does it tell about IR? Newspaper, if you have read well, 100%, at least out of 7 to 6 IR question what they give, you will get 5 to 4 question 100% correct by just being in touch with newspaper. And that's why I told, every subject will have its own demand. So if you analyze the paper only, you will come to know. See, 100% you can't answer this question now because still you have not read those things. But what will make you realize this thing? Okay, I have to be in touch with the things which are in news. And if you see here also, in 2018 they asked about this IAEA. Why? Because that time India had signed the agreement. This is 2024. I am not saying this question is important now. Maybe it is important from mains point of view. Prelims it's not in news now. They won't ask about it. Got it? So how to go through? That's what I told. Whatever topics you read, solve questions on it. Prelims and mains. Okay. So take down one more question to write on NSG. On NSG. Discuss the possible benefits that India can gain, by becoming a member to nuclear suppliers group. Becoming a member to nuclear suppliers group. 15 marks, 250 words. So obviously they are asking what you to discuss what? Okay, what benefits will get from NSG. So first write in your introduction what is NSG, then you write about why India wants to join NSG. So write benefits what we can get. At the same time also highlight in your answer what are the challenges that are there around India becoming a member of nuclear suppliers group. That should be your flow of your answer. So any doubt on India's nuclear policy? Anything which you have not understood? Okay, then I think time is up, na? Or still it is up to 6:30. I don't know, I can continue up to 6:30, but
This is
till 7 it was there. Huh?
but I guess it has been started earlier. So
It was 3 to 7, now 2 to 6. No, we'll start with China or you want to end? How many you want to end? Okay, raise your hand, it's okay, democracy will be always there.
China is a long topic.
Yeah, but we can only give introduction to China. Anyway, we'll end it live. We'll again start tomorrow because anyway we will start with China
So
for
next
half.
we are going to study about the neighboring relations.
No, we are not neighboring, but we'll start with important neighbors like China, Pakistan. Then we'll go to Afghanistan. Then we'll go to Israel because Israel is in news now. Israel, Palestine. Then we'll go to US, Russia. Then we'll go to Japan, and then we'll read about this thing. What is that? Different regions in the sense because now Africa and all individual countries are not right. India Africa relations, India Central Asia, India West Asia. West Asia will be covering in Israel only, but any kind of updates which is there. Then India Indo-Pacific, then India South Asia. Okay, in South Asia not all neighboring countries are required. Nepal is in news, or this Sri Lanka is in news, or this Maldives is in news, or even Bangladesh is in news, just broadly covering what are the important issues. Then we will go into Indo-Pacific because that is important. Indo-Pacific is gaining importance in India's foreign policy. Then we will go into these institutions which are there, means SCO, Quad, what else is there, BRICS which is there, and SAARC which is there, and within SAARC you have the multiple intra-regional organ like BIMSTEC, Mekong Ganga Cooperation, IOR, Indian Ocean Rim countries in that regard. And then we will also go into international institutions, not all, important ones, IMF, World Bank, WTO, UN, because these are the major ones they have asked in the exam. But some organizations, what you will have to do is that when it is in news, or if it is in news, you have to read about it. So that's why I told in Telegram channel, whatever current affairs for IR and polity, it will be updated. There you can read about it. Okay. So for the nuclear policy part, the written notes what you have done is enough because printed notes is there, but that will be be too lengthy. Means it's more written from an optional point of view rather than a GS point of view.
Provided.
Which one?
When will the notes be provided?
If you want, I'll send all the notes now only. It's there detail. But I told some notes now are very much in detail. So that you'll have to choose and pick and read. So you try to skim it out. Sending, I'll send the notes which is there. So, but again, why I'm telling for IR what will happen? You have to read newspaper. Whatever has been now updated is past. The questions if you see in the exam, it is coming on the present. For that, if you see the Telegram channel, there if you go, there is monthly compilation. Okay, I'll just show you. So if you see, this is more of a, so this is more like for prelims oriented IR notes. This was like, we'll give you this in EPIC. Okay, so this will basically covering 6 to 1 year, this which are in use, like International Criminal Court was in use. Okay, what is the basics of ICC, when was it created, why is it in use, then International Court of Justice, and you have this Permanent Court of Arbitration, PCA, UN Convention on Laws. So what do you mean by UN Convention on Laws, and what are the important points regarding to it. Then you have this infrastructure project, India Middle East Economic Corridor. It was in use because India recently joined this thing, and who are the signatories, what are the important projects under that. Then you have the Southern Gas Corridor, which is a very important thing which has been in use, International North-South Transport Corridor. So this will be covering when we are discussing India, Russia and all. For mains the details are not required, for prelims details are required. So that's why I told, for prelims you go through this material. Okay, this is for last year people who wrote. Again when you write next year, for that there will be an updated material that will be provided. But till then if you feel that okay fine, I want to upgrade myself with the current context what is there, you can just read this material. But read this material after the classes. Because in classes we would have given the link, here it is more information oriented. Okay, so what has come with maps, it will be there. Okay, like India, Myanmar, this Kaladan multimodal project, where it goes, what it connects, etc. So all these kind of things, whatever current affairs is required for exam. So for example, India, Russia, they have signed the Chennai Vladivostok maritime corridor. So it connects from where to where, what is the use of it. So this you have to read. So this is one material, but if you go into the Telegram channel, monthly wise also there is compilation. Means June month, IR important topics has been compiled, polity important topics have been compiled. If you want, you have 6 months compilation also will get. Okay. So use newspaper for your analysis, etc. Information that you don't worry, that you use the material that is there. But there should be no compromise on reading newspaper. Now you are not anyway, sir has uploaded in his Telegram channel, why shall I read? You have to read newspaper, then you can make use of that content. We have sent the link. You ask your friends, I think they have the link. So it is like you can join directly. So there you can say everyday newspaper important stuff what is there. But that is only to polity and IR because the subjects which I handle. Any other doubt? Okay, then we'll meet tomorrow.